Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with a lot of people know this man. Actually, I'm not even gonna lie. I think he's hood famous.
Oh damn!
Yeah. I think
Appreciate that.
I think a lot of people are gonna be like,
I didn't
"Oh,
even
Carlos Ariel." I know Carlos.
That's my full government.
Right?
My boy was doing his research.
He went, hey, listen, I definitely looked into your background and just I was really interested in how you came up and just what you're doing now, and trying to get you to talk about it and see what the people think, really, right?
Yeah. I mean, my story is not like anything, bizarre, I guess you could say. It's not like, I grew up poor or anything crazy, like, and not to say that those stories are played out or anything like that, but my story, like when I was a kid, I'm grateful to say that, I didn't have a lot to ask for. Yeah. My mother was doing all right. She's an entrepreneur. I learned a lot of my entrepreneurial things from her, actually. Okay. She actually used to own El Fogón that used to be on Broad Street.
Yep.
That burned down. I wrote about it in my first book, which is called Learn, Drop the L and Earn. For a long time, pretty much everything I wanted, I got.
Yeah.
And then it got to a point where, unfortunately, yes, my mom did lose that restaurant, and things got difficult. She lost a lot of things, and pretty much everything she had was gone.
Yeah.
And this was during a time in my life where, like for instance, my brother and sister were fortunate enough to, and it's not that everybody gets this, but they were fortunate enough to get their cars bought for them. And this was when I was in high school. I went ahead and
I know you're looking at it like, ooh, I can't wait till I can drive.
I can't wait till, man. I was thinking about it. I was like, my mom's gonna buy me a whip. Yeah, I'm chilling. No, that was not the case. Not the case.
No.
I had to work for my first car.
Okay.
My first job actually was at Best Buy.
Wow. What'd you do at Best Buy? What was your first day at Best Buy like? In what year was this, by the way?
This was in. I started working at Best Buy as soon as I could work. I was 16 and 10 months.
Wow. For the young people out there, I don't think y'all understand.
Yeah,
they used to keep track of the months. I don't know if they still do that. Maybe I'm too old and I don't know. But 16 and 10 months.
Yeah, because that's when I could get my my learner's.
You got your papers, right?
Yep, my papers and all that. and I'm in my Best Buy blue shirt with the khaki pants that they used to wear. Now I think they use different colors.
Yeah.
But the manager. He's like Joshua was his name. And he's a part of like my life. All these people that have influenced me, I like to remember them because
they made you who you are.
They made me who I am.
Yeah.
And he tells me, "Oh, you look like you work here already." And I'm like, "Well, I mean, that's the plan."
Right.
And he's like, "Well, how about you go out there and sell something?" And I'm like, "Right now?"
You're like 14 minutes and 12 seconds into your first day at Best Buy.
Literally. And he's like, "Why don't you go out there and sell something?" And he took the whole class basically outside. And he's like, "All right, this is the MP3 area." He's like, "Read the back of the box. You have 5 minutes, and then just go up to somebody and try to sell it to them." And I'm like, "All right." So I read the back of the box. It was simple. It was a Sansa. I don't know if you remember the Sansas, but they were made by SanDisk.
Yeah.
And they were just like these little tiny MP3 players, almost like iPod Nanos. Yeah. And I go out there, I read the back of the box. It's like 2 gigabytes. It holds 2,000 songs, this, that, and the third. I'm like, all right, I'm ready.
Speaking your language. Offer it immediately.
Boom. All right. So I went ahead and I go up to this lady. She's like, "Hey." And I'm like, "Hi. Do you need help with anything?" And she's like, "No." And I'm like, "Oh, well. To be honest with you, it's my first day, and my manager asked me to come sell something. So I'm gonna talk to you about this product, and if you want to buy it, it'd be great." So she's like, "Oh, that's great, yeah." She was like, "You're so sweet, blah, 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 yeah." So I start telling her about it, and literally I'm just reading off the back of the box. I'm like, "Yeah, so this is the Sansa MP3 player. It has 2 gigabytes of memory. It can hold up to 2,000 songs. And blah, 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 and like 50 pictures or whatever it was.
Which was a lot back in the day. Yeah. Wow, I'm carrying 50 pictures in my pocket, like, bro.
Yeah, it was crazy. So I was like, all right. I was like, so you want to buy it? And she's like, yeah, I'll go ahead and take it. So I was like, yes. So I go back, and long story short, they see it and they got all excited for me and they really made me feel good about, getting my first sale.
Yeah, let's go. Shout out to the Joshua, the manager, and that woman, whoever she is, wherever she is.
Yeah, wherever she may be, thank you. You made me who I am today. Good.
That's crazy. Imagine that, right? That's like this this movie called, maybe I can't say it. It doesn't matter. It's called Everything or Everything Everywhere All the Time.
Everywhere all the time.
Yeah, Everything Everywhere All the Time.
Everything,
something like that.
Everywhere all the time.
But it's like, it's whenever you have a conversation, how many different ways could that have spiraled into? Like when you you're driving home, how many different ways could that have turned in every every time there's a decision?
Books, like
exactly.
where like you can pick your storyline.
Exactly. Yeah. Every time there's a decision, right? You literally, there's another, I guess, dimension.
Well, we can go into a whole other quantum physics and
I don't know
Einstein
nothing about that.
And
Listen, I don't know nothing about quantum nothing.
Alternate realities. That's what Einstein was big on.
I believe there's more dimensions.
Basically, anytime when you can make a decision, there's one version of you that made the other decision.
And there's always parallel decisions being made at all points in time. So in other words, it's never ending. Yeah. Never, supposedly, is the idea, at least. But
I believe it
too. But one of the reasons that I wanted to talk to you was because you are known as what I like to, well, I wouldn't say I like to call, but it's a term people use a lot. It's called a serial entrepreneur, right?
Yes.
So from, my Google search, right, there's a few things that came up, right? And correct me if I'm wrong on any of these, right?
Yeah, of course.
So Mr. Then Consulting, right?
Yep.
Co-owner of Nightlife Valet.
Yep.
CEO of Nightlife Security.
Yep.
Right? Then Products.
Yeah, I started that a while ago.
Elite brand ambassador, right?
Yep.
And not that this has to be last or that it does or doesn't matter, but you graduated from URI as well. So
I did, yeah.
I think
roadie.
Rams. So those are all things that we look at and can say, all right, well, you've had multiple businesses and have multiple businesses, right? So we know Best Buy happened.
Yep.
But what was the first thing? What might have been the catalyst to put you in a position where you really wanted to do business, outside of obviously your mom being a entrepreneur herself?
Right? So, I mean, for me, the whole entrepreneurism type of thing really started in college for the most part. I've always kind of had like the knack or the want to do it, but I didn't really take off until, college, I would say. And my first business was actually called Now Then Financial. So I figured out early on that if you have a marketable last name, you might as well use it. So I always got like, people questioning me or like asking me like, hey, Carlos, then what? Or like, when that movie came out, Dude, Where's My Car? And then
all the
I heard that all the time. It was like nonstop.
Man.
So, with things like that, I was like, you know what? People are going to use my last name whether I like it or not. I might as well make money off of it. So I went ahead and when I was in college, I was doing my taxes in my dorm room. And, I had a roommate. My roommate comes in. He's like, oh, you know how to do taxes? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, don't you? And he's like, nah, I mean, I'll pay you $50 if you do mine for me. And I was like,
what year was this? $50, and what year was this?
This was in 2009.
Okay, so $50 was still a decent amount of money.
It wasn't like in
college. Like, come on.
Oh, come on, bro! You're gonna hear in a little bit what just happened with that. So I went ahead and I'm like, all right, cool. So I started thinking to myself, and I'm like, damn, if he needs his taxes done, I'm sure like when more of my friends need their taxes done too. And like at the time, it was literally like just inputting information. So I would just like go ahead, have them log into their TurboTax account, boop, 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 put in their information, put in their, their tuition reimbursement form, put in this, put in that. And that's it. If they had a W-2 because they worked, they got a W-2. And, you know, that ended up turning into something that blew up. I went ahead and, you know, at the time, I created my own website on, like, GoDaddy, I think it was. And, you know, they had, like, those templates, literally just put it up, put some pictures in, boom, boom, bam. And I went into the library, and I was like, At the time, the libraries didn't have locks on the homepage for the web browser.
Yeah.
So I went ahead and I changed the web browser's homepage to my website on every single computer in the library.
How many hours? How many hours did it take you to do
It didn't
that?
even take that long, to be honest.
Damn it! I wish it would have took you longer. You wanna know why?
Because
that's just hustle. Like I heard, no, for real. That's just like, you know, it's like the people, you know, you take 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, that adds up. But it's like you're playing a game, right?
Yeah.
Life is a game, and you're playing against people who are relentless, who will not sleep and cut every corner.
So the thing that made it easier is that,
Amazing.
you know, I don't like to make things difficult for myself. So the way I did it was I literally just copied my website, sent it to myself in an email, and just copy it or type it in on each computer. It wasn't crazy, you know. And the website was already made.
I wanna say though, you say it wasn't crazy, but I think it shows a lot. It shows looking ahead of the curve. It shows ingenuity. It shows the ability to think quick. Like just off of that, however many computers were in whatever room, you got that many views to your website.
Yeah.
So it's like immediately, that's the same thing of like everybody has a phone in their pocket. Hey, go to my website real quick.
Yeah.
Go to my website.
They didn't have a choice.
Exactly. Now
they didn't have a choice. As soon as they opened up the
exactly.
web page, it brought up my website. So, you know, and like the first thing I had was like, when it popped up, like there was this little animation that came up that was like text, boom, 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 boom. That was when Google Voice numbers had like just came out. So I was like super souped because I ended up getting the Google Voice number with my last name in it. So it was 401-267 then. And like,
history was made.
Boom. I was like, all right, that's my number. I got it. It's not my real number. So like, I don't have people like texting me all the time when I don't want to respond to it. And like, people were hitting me up like crazy.
And that's just to do taxes.
People to get their taxes done.
What was the most you ever charged somebody for taxes? Like the most that you were like, I don't want to.
I kept it simple at that time because I was a kid. You know what I mean? Like
fair enough. So always $50.
Yeah. So for all of the college students, it was $50 unless they had like some crazy extra shit on there.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
If they had like additional W-2 forms, for the W-2 forms, if it was more than two, I charged like an extra $5 for each one.
Okay. Reasonable. You know, you were helping and also making a profit.
And then like I made so much money that like I started developing an app that I never used. I had it made for like Android and Apple, and it had like discounts where like if you got your taxes done with me like 3 times, it would go ahead and you'd get a pizza because I've always loved pizza. So like that was part of like my marketing thing. Like if you got your taxes done with me 3 times, you would get a pizza on the 3rd time.
My God.
It had like coupon books. It had like a tax estimator.
Wow.
Like I spent like 10 grand on that. So you can imagine how much money I made.
You were just well, you were in college. You were exposed to who knows how many thousands clearly.
Bro, it was insane. I never made so much money. Like at that point in my life, I had never made so much money.
Gotcha.
And it was just like, all right, I started splurging. I started spending a lot of money. I didn't have a mentor at the time.
Okay.
So thinking back, you know, if I had a mentor, I probably would have done things a little bit differently.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I did things the way that I did because, you know, at the end of the day, I ended up learning a lot.
So is this, at this point in time, right, you were doing taxes and you did them all 4 years of college, or you did 4, you did more, less?
So what I did is I ended up doing 2 years of taxes.
Okay.
I think almost 3.
Okay.
And what I found was, yes, I was making a good amount of money, but it was a seasonal thing. Exactly. You know? So then when that situation with the computers happened, I actually got in trouble for that. I got called into the dean's office, you know, and I was in the College of Arts and Sciences, which is economics. I got a bachelor's of science in economics with a minor in international relations.
Okay.
And I get called into the dean's office. I'm pretty sure he passed away, so R.I.P. to him. But he was really cool. And, you know, he kind of just gave me a slap on the wrist type of thing. He's like, you know, hey, you know, the the librarians keep calling in. They're upset because they don't know how to take this website off of the computers.
Oops.
You know, so I need you to, you know, ASAP get over there and take them off.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was like, all right. Did that. And then a few days later, I got a call from, you know, a corporate entity, one of the biggest corporate entities in the world. You know, I'll share it because, you know, at the end of the day, it's whatever.
Yeah, if you want
Bank
to.
of America, Merrill Lynch.
BOA. Merrill Lynch at the time. Okay.
You know, one of the recruiters is just like, hey, you know, we got your information from such and such. We want to see if you want to, like, you know, do an interview, this, that, and the third. And I'm like, oh. Yeah.
Why not?
So they gave me, you know, they told me this, that, and the third. And, you know, they offered me this job that at the time, you know, I hadn't seen that type of money with benefits. I was like, what?
Gotta get it.
But they had a, you know, a caveat. You know, they told me, all right, well, you can take this job, but we know that you're doing this tax thing. And it's considered an unallowed external business. So we need you to drop that, and then, you know, you can sign this paper and we'll be good. And I was like, you know, I took a step back and, you know, I was really feeling my entrepreneurism and, you know, really enjoying that lifestyle. And then, you know, it comes to like, damn, do I want to like go into this corporate world? And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. Because at the end of the day, it's in a field that I want to learn more about. I want to learn more about finances. I want to learn more about taxes. I want to learn more about credit. I want to learn more about investing. And why not learn from the biggest entity in the world, or at least in America, that, you know, that I can do that.
It's I think you would call that taking a step back to take a step forward.
Exactly,
right?
Yeah.
When you're
take
really
2 steps
or
forward.
to take exactly because you're not really just taking a step back. It's more like I need to learn these things, right? Yeah. Without that, you're gonna falter somewhere else down the line.
When I purchased my first home, it was a multifamily. I did the house hacking, rented 2 of the units, kept the biggest unit for myself, rented the rooms to my friends, and that's when I kind of really started, you know, like working towards self-development and things of that nature. After I had the home, I ended up leaving the T-Mobile job because, you know, the house was income producing. So it allowed me to alleviate some of those things that, you know, I was doing before that were kind of holding me back from doing things that I wanted to do. At that point, I did kind of get like that entrepreneurial spirit again, but I had to be careful about what I got into because it could be considered a conflict of interest, especially in things that I was mostly interested in. Like finances and taxes and stuff like that.
And so Merrill Lynch was only seasonal, or was it more?
No. So that was full time.
That was full time too. So you're working 3. Yeah, you were killing that point in time.
Well, no, because I wasn't doing the tax business anymore.
No, okay, yeah. So you were just working your Merrill Lynch and
Merrill Lynch and T-Mobile.
And T-Mobile. Okay, gotcha.
Then when I went ahead and had T-Mobile gone, I started what you mentioned earlier, which was Then Products. And Then Products was, I mean, this was e-commerce before like everybody started throwing up e-commerce on the on the website. Like I was in drop shipping like early.
Yeah, Amazon was still not making profit at the time.
Like I found AliExpress before they like started like advertising AliExpress.
Really interesting.
So I went ahead and I had ordered, like I seen these like little watches that like were like plastic watches. I mean at this, like I think back to it now and I'm like, damn, like people really bought that watch off of me. But like, you know, it's like, you know, I appreciated it. It was a lot of support. So I started Them Products and I found these watches that I got for like $1 each. And I sold them for like 10 each. So I went ahead and I bought 100 watches for $100 and sold them for $10 each. I sold pretty much all of them. So that was like, I was like, nice. Okay, so I started building the website and adding more products. Exactly.
The first flip.
Exactly. And hey, I've never sold drugs. No pun against anybody who ever has. But like for me, that was like, like I'm out here. Like
it's the money. Yep. I could do it.
You know what I'm saying? Like I was like, yeah, I could do this. And I'd always joke around with my friends,
like yo, I can sell watches. I can sell anything.
Yeah,
Look in my eyes when
I was like,
talk
I just don't want to touch that stuff
Yeah.
right now. You know what I mean? Like, but nonetheless, I was like, hey, man, if I ever did that, I joked around with one of my friends the other day, and I was like, man, if I ever did that, I'd probably be like Ghost, man.
Yeah,
you wouldn't even know. You wouldn't even know. But
I think that's like the entrepreneur's like, shot with 3 seconds on the clock for people for like NBA stars or people who play sports professionally, right? So that's funny you say that.
But then when I had that, it wasn't something that was like crazy. I'd make like 300, 500 a month. So it wasn't like I was killing it in the e-com game. But it was extra income, so I didn't mind it. And then for a little bit, that's when I was like, all right, let me continue on my entrepreneur and my self-development phase. I ended up getting my first mentor, which is Zoe, and she's the one who, that's why I'm an elite brand ambassador for Catapult. So for that, that's where I went ahead and I got my life coach certification. And that's where I got the moniker of Mr. Then Millennial Business and Finance Coach. She actually came up with that.
Okay.
And
that is a catchy name, by the way. I got it.
It flows. It
just flows perfect.
Yeah, it flows.
Shout out to, what was her name again?
Zoe.
Sorry, Zoe. I won't forget. I promise. I won't ever forget again. So now, right? She gives you Mr. Then Millennial
Business and Finance Coach. Yeah.
Business and Finance Coach.
Yeah.
And what happens after this?
So this is when I really started like branding myself.
Okay.
As Mr. Then, the Millennial Business and Finance Coach. And, I literally put like my same picture on every social media platform, everything that you could think of that existed of me had that same picture. And I think it almost had it for like 3 years. So, for that long amount of time, I was going ahead and just pushing that, posting content. And eventually it did get back to like some of my superiors at Merrill and Bank of America. And, my manager calls me into the office and he's like, hey, I got some word from some people up top. They saw your LinkedIn profile and, they kind of want to know what this Millennial Business and Finance Coaches thing is and blah, 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 and this, that, and the third. And, I explained to him, I'm like, listen, I'm a life coach. I teach people about business and finances. What's the issue? And he's like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, it's
the proverbial slippery slope.
And I could tell it wasn't a conversation he wanted to have, but like, it was something that unfortunately had to be had, I guess, like they say. and at that point, he was like, hey, listen, just take it down. It's not that you need to stop doing it. They just don't want it on your profiles, this, that, and the third. And I was like, all right. I took it down for like a week, and I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? Nah.
Yeah. And then he rose.
Yeah, and literally, like, it was kind of like my line in the sand moment type of thing. And it was like, I had some money saved up. I was like, I'm going to just go full force. I'm going to take a leap of faith.
Yeah.
Because I had people hitting me up. Like, the brand thing was working. Like, it wasn't anybody in Rhode Island. To be honest with you, my first client was, like, from California.
Yep, that's usually how it goes. Someone who knows nothing about you.
Knows nothing about me, but they found me, and they wanted to know stuff, and I had stuff to teach them, and they saw the value. And unfortunately, when people kind of know where you come from, they don't see how you can change to provide them with that value sometimes. But that's another story for another time.
Oh, that's a whole nother podcast, my friend.
Essentially, long story short, I ended up going ahead and putting in my 2 weeks.
Okay.
Ended up leaving, and now I was like literally full force entrepreneur. I ended up taking a lavish vacation to Colombia, where like my friend was like going to Colombia. Actually, he was my roommate at the time too, and I have the I'd like to say the opportunity and the gratefulness. Like, since I was starting that business, I had my roommates there, and I used them as test subjects.
Yeah.
So like, I would help them with like their finances. I'd help them with their credit. Yeah. And they were paying me rent. So like, I kind of just like considered that like the payment. because I needed testimonials anyways. Yeah. So, you know, I was able to go ahead and get some testimonials from these guys and, you know, also build my brand. And they were legit. They were legit testimonials, you know. So that nothing better
actually
than
did something for them.
Exactly.
Like their credit went up. That's amazing.
Exactly. So he ended up getting like this credit card, and he's like, "Yo, I'm going to Colombia to visit my dad. This and the third." And he's like, "You want to come?" And I'm like, "Man, I just quit my job. We out."
I thought he was gonna say no. Oh my God, he don't. Yeah. We out of here.
We out. We went, man.
You already say YOLO, might as well.
Shout out to my boy Moises. We went over there, man. I had the best time of my life. We was in Cartagena. And man, I had a good time in Medellin and all that. Oh, my Lord. Oh, man. Let's not even talk about that.
Okay. All right. We'll save that for the deleted files.
You know, we ended up going. We came back. Had a good time in Colombia, obviously. And I'm cleaning up my room, putting my stuff away, and I pick up this business card like from my counter, from my end table, my nightstand, and I pick it up, and it's this client of mine, and I kid you not, the guy calls me. Now I don't give everybody my personal number, but like this was a guy that was like, you know, affluent. You know, he was one of those guys that you'd want to just give his number if he asked for it. And he asked for it. Yeah, so like, all right. So, you know, like he calls me. He's like, "Hey, you know, I haven't seen you at the branch. You know, like where you been?" I'm like, "To be honest with you, you know, I parted ways and I'm trying my own stuff." And he's like, "Well, I don't know what you're doing right now, but we have a position available. It's interim, so it's not something that you would be doing forever. But we need somebody to fill it for a little bit until we can find somebody to fill it full time. I kind of liked how you worked and what you did and everything like that. Yeah. And I wanted to offer you this position." And I'm like, "Okay, what's the position?" Yeah. He's like, "Financial director." Book to book. It's a nonprofit. Okay. Okay. And I'm like,
that's kind of perfect.
Yeah. I'm like, I've never been financial director of anything.
Yeah. Well, you financial directing now. All right.
Yeah. So, you know, he calls me in and he's like, "Listen, you'll be learning from the current financial director. And if you don't like it, you don't like it, and we can part ways. But if you like it, you can stick around and do that." So I did that for a little bit, about 6 months, I think it was. And during that time is when I also wrote my first book.
Nice. Which, if I'm not mistaken, is Learn, Drop the L.
Drop the L and Earn.
Oh, yeah. Drop the L and Earn. Yeah.
Yep. So it's Learn, Drop the L, and earn. Yeah.
Almost. Yeah. But so you wrote your first book, and what's it like when you first wrote your first book? I know you have probably friends, you know, family. They obviously have seen and have been a part of the success as well so far. So when your book is live, who's like the first person you tell? What's the first thing you do? Or who's the first person that buys it? All three of them. How about?
So believe it or not, when I first launched my first book, I was constantly posting about it on Facebook. And a lot of the people that, you know, helped me with the book were people on Facebook. Like I would go ahead and I'd post like little paragraphs of it, and I'd be like, "What do you guys think about this?" You know, and get people's feedback live. And people will respond, this, that, and the third. And when I really, really launched it, when it was finished, which was after I took a trip to Egypt, that's when like it blew up, because what I did is I made it only $1. So I didn't make it something difficult to purchase. And the reason for that was because I put it on Amazon. Okay. And you know me, I like to do my research on things before I go ahead and actually do things. So when I went ahead and made it that promotional price for $1, and people kept buying it, you know, all these people on Facebook kept buying it. I have over 5,000 friends. It ended up getting into what's called #1 new release on that category of book for Amazon, which that's free game for you guys. If you ever want to write a new book and put it on Amazon, super easy to upload things to the Kindle
Really?
To
Well,
the
then.
Kindle.
Let me get on my chat
self-publishing.
GPT real quick.
You could. I mean, now it's even easier.
I know.
But you know, that was what I did, and writing the book itself obviously is what took me the longest.
Yeah.
My second book actually I wrote a lot quicker than I wrote my first book. The first book was difficult because it told my actual story. There were particular things that I wanted to be told a certain way, and then I also gave like game in there, like how to start that e-commerce store, how to do this, that, and third, and when you should probably open up an LLC rather than just like everybody nowadays just tells you open up an LLC and then get funding from the bank, and that's not true. That's not how it works.
Does not work like that.
That's not how it works. And in fact, whenever you open up an LLC, there's minimum taxes you got to pay.
Yep.
So
plus the LLC fee.
Exactly. So, people don't realize that. They're just following like these things that people do for clickbait online. And, I had released that book in order to educate people. And that's why I went ahead and named it Learn, Drop the L, which is like, the losses, the unnecessary things, and then you can earn.
The horrible things, yeah, the things you don't want to deal with. Yeah. You got your book. You wrote your first book, right? How close... Or what's next after your first book? Do you get, is it, I know you have the valet, night valet, right?
Yep, nightlife valet and nightlife security.
And nightlife security, yep. So I'm curious when those two start, because I think, one of the first things I said when you came on was, a lot of people know you. I think you're kind of hood famous. And you joked around, and it's like a lot of people know you from mainly those two. So how far are we from there, or... Right? Is there a catalyst to get you to that, or at that point, is this a hobby? Like, where are you at this point in your life? You got a book, dude. Come on, you got a book. Like,
so I had gone ahead and I'd written my second book, which was I Give You Credit, a Do-It-Yourself Guide to Credit Repair.
How long after the first book did you write that?
Probably like six months or so, like the next year.
Okay.
Within the next year.
My guy's not playing games.
So nothing crazy. But that one wasn't too difficult because it was mainly an instructional guide type of thing, like do-it-yourself repair type of thing. So it's usually templates and things like that.
Still
so
a book.
It was things that, although it was time-consuming to put together, it wasn't, a lot of creation of content that I don't already have.
Okay.
So that's why I wrote it a lot faster. I wrote it like in I think 24 hours.
That's still pretty amazing, bro. There's a lot of people that have never written a book, ever.
Yeah, that's true.
That's impressive. So
one of the things that inspired me to write a book was one of my friends said, I feel like everybody has a book in them. So
that's a good quote. That's true. Everyone got a story to tell. So you write your second book.
Yeah.
And then...
so shortly after that, I had decided... now, this was like right before COVID.
Okay.
I had gone to Egypt. That's when I had pushed the first, and if you look on my cover for Learn, Drop the L, and Earn, it's literally a camel, and the camel is tied down to a small rock. And the story about that is in the book, and you'll understand why. I emphasize, looking at that huge camel tied to that small rock. Yeah. But then I went ahead and sold the house. I had bought the house for, $130,000. I had put 50 into it, which was 180. Okay. And I sold it for $310.
Okay, double, almost basically, pretty much, minus some fees, but.
Yeah. So and $310 is my birthday, so it just it was the right number.
Speak of the devil.
It was the right number.
Speak of the other guy.
So it was just the right number at the right time, and it was something that I was like, all right, yeah, this is right. Next thing you know, COVID starts taking off, and me and the co-founder of Nightlife, Alex, are sitting in my living room watching Game of Thrones. Believe it or not.
Interesting.
And at that time. Unfortunately, I had, Alex had gotten stabbed by a security guard in a nightclub.
Wow.
On Federal Hill. Not a nightclub, but one of those bars.
He got stabbed by security?
By a security
guard.
Security.
The people, come on.
The people that are supposed to protect you, he ended up getting stabbed by one of those guys. Yeah. The guy didn't even have, a security shirt on. He ended up, you know how on Federal Hill during the Columbus Festival they let you go ahead and smoke those cigars. They have the cigars they sell on the street. So we bought some cigars. We're smoking the cigars, and he was gonna happen to walk into one of the bars there on Federal Hill. And the guy literally and I was there. He grabs him and by the neck, by the collar, and pulls him back, and said some stuff.
Yeah, that's
not even anything about the cigar. He just said some stuff stuff that.
Oh, he wants to fight. That's
yeah. So obviously, the first thing you're gonna do if somebody does that is you're gonna square up with them and do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
Some random person coming at you. So they did that, and I was just kind of there just in case if anything else happened. Unfortunately, something else did happen. Yeah. And the guy ends up stabbing him right here in the gut. And I wouldn't have even noticed because it happened so fast if he wasn't wearing a white shirt. Wow. So that was a crazy part of my life. We almost lost him. Thank God he still with us now. But it changed both of our lives severely. And we were sitting there watching Game of Thrones, and I had just gotten ahead a notification that my house had kind of been sold for the amount that I wanted. And I kind of always knew that I would do something with Alex, start something up, some sort of business. I just didn't know what at the time. And we were having a conversation, and we're watching Game of Thrones, and we were like, you know what, nights were cool. Yeah, nights were cool because they were respected. Yeah, they protected the realm. They were treated fairly. They earned money. That. Yeah, was good money. They had a status.
Yeah, they were exactly. Yeah, they had status.
And that was dope. And I was like, what sucks here in Rhode Island? Security.
He's not lying, ladies and gentlemen.
And I had just thought about it. I think 2 nights before, I had gone ahead and I was walking into one club. And, I didn't know exactly what it was, but, to me, it sounded fishy, and it made me not even want to go into the place. Yeah. The guys walking into the club, the security guard pats him down. The security guard's like, oh, you're going to have to give me some more for that. And the guy hands him, $500, basically. And, and then he lets him walk in. Now, I don't know what it was, but that made me... that made me turn around and be like, nah, I don't know what the dude's in there with, what he's in there for, and what might go down tonight. Exactly. I've seen enough in the nightlife to make you want to not even go out sometimes.
When your safety's at risk, you're just trying to have a good time.
So we went ahead and we're what if we started a security company? And what do we call it? And I was like, me, I like to come up with catchy names for stuff. By now, I'm sure Learn dropped the L, give you credit,
They're all good names. They all work. They did the trick.
So I'm like, how about nightlife? And he's like, nightlife? I'm like, but with a K. And he's like, yo, long story short, boom, boom, boom. And we went to California that week and trained with some of the best people in security.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was splurging because I just got to check.
Of course. You got to enjoy all that work
I was like, we need to take a business trip.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I wrote that shit off too.
You better. I guaranteed you worked the first couple of days.
Oh no, we was working most of the time actually. Yeah. Every dinner we was talking about business. Every conversation with people we were talking
everything
about
was business.
Everything
was business.
Especially out there. I mean, especially when you're going out there, you're having a good time. That's when people ask you. They ask you what you do. So
yeah,
you work.
And have a good time. Well, all right. So then you go to Cali, right? And you guys have this lethal training. I'm assuming.
Oh man, we was.
You could kill someone with your pinky. Come on, you gotta give me something.
Pinky. Come on, now. we ain't Bruce Lee.
1-inch punch. What they teach you over there?
1-inch punch. You watching too many movies. Although Bruce Lee could kill somebody.
SEAL Team Night over here. What is going on?
We were learning from people like Byron Rogers.
Okay.
People that worked with transporting people against the cartel. It was some intensive training. Behavioral training, seeing okay, you know, this guy's walking into the
Noticing
club,
patterns, things like that.
noticing patterns. Okay, this guy keeps rubbing on his leg. He has some sort of anxiety, some sort of nervousness. Why does he have that sort of nervousness? Like, what is he about to do? What is he reaching for? You know, like things like that. Just like looking at people and being able to kind of not discriminate, of course, or like, you know, make judgments on people for how they might act socially. But it gives you an idea of, you know, what type of behaviors they may have.
Yeah, it's an overall awareness of the place you're in, the people who's around you, you know, and just understanding like anything is possible.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, we came up with a class actually that's called Anyone Can Kill You. And it's because anybody can kill you.
Well, yeah.
There was a lady in New York that got arrested because old lady, she set somebody up. What'd she do? She was outside the bodega and
just grandma just
shanked them up.
Oh man.
Shanked them up. So, like,
I have a feeling I know what nationality she was, but I'm not gonna say it right now, just because I'm not trying to get leave and then, you know. So, you could put it in the comments though if you like. But no. So, wow. So you go, you know, you're learning all these things. You know, I also at this point in time, I think we met around Picelito. I know you had.
Oh yeah.
I had,
that's a whole another venture.
Yeah, like I had heard about you before then when you wrote your first book. That's when I heard, you know, I kind of really, you came up on my radar. Not that I'm anybody special, but, you know, it's like, I know this gentleman, like, you know, and I looking through your things and it's like, okay, this is making sense. And, you know, me on my own journey, I'm like, oh, this could be useful. And then we meet at Pizzalito, right? Which is if you want to talk about that quick, it's a combination,
so
right?
It's a combination. It's like a party that, you know, me, I love pizza. And one of the things I found that has always brought me joy is whenever I could work on something that I enjoy. You know, so like pizza has always been a favorite thing of mine. You know, I partnered with my friend and DJ and personality called Rami on that. And, you know, she's always loved patelitos. And we're like, why don't we do like a pizza patelito party? And we did that. And, you know, people liked it. Like, people were like, you know, they were heavy with it. We haven't done one in a while because obviously it takes a lot of timing and planning and things like that. The last one we did was in Federal Hill Pizza, the one that was in Providence over there. It was a good turnout. People had fun. Yeah. You know, we even had like a live pizza guy with like a patelito.
It's just that difference, you know. It's not just always, hey, let's just go to a lounge and just chill and just like drink. It's like now let's it's something you can because I went to the first one and you know you could sit there. You could sit. There was an area to sit. There was an area to stand. There was a dance hall and it's like, you know, loud over here, but you can talk in this room. So it was a vibe. It depends on what you like. You could kind of get a little bit of it all, so that's pretty cool. But so nightlife, right? And I know we talked a lot about that, but I'm just fascinated by. First off, I'm fascinated by anybody who has an idea and then turns it to reality, right? Yeah. Because everything we use in our daily lives, somebody thought of first before it was created. Yeah. Everything. Yeah. So you know, you never know what's coming next, right? Yeah. So and I know Nightlife's not the only one you have. Is Nightlife Valet as well? And
I mean, they're basically the kind of the same brand.
Okay. But at this point in time, if you're comfortable, where are you going next, right? And what's the next venture, right? And I want you to kind of quantify it, right? Let's put it in some numbers for people, right? Your next venture, if you have an idea, or even if you, hey, this is what I'd like to do, or if you want to go that far and tell us what you're doing, that's cool too. But you know, and what are you investing in it? What does it look like, right?
So I mean, I'm not afraid to tell anybody how or why I'm doing things because at the end of the day, they're not me. So what I believe is like, somebody else can do something that you're doing, but are they going to do it as well as you? I mean, trust me, there was a lot of companies that came up after we started the security company that don't exist anymore. There were a lot of companies that, you know, went ahead and literally there was another company that came up that was called Nightlife Security.
With the N or the
N.
Oh, boy.
You know, and that was a little bit of a problem. I'm not going to talk too much about it. Thankfully, they don't exist anymore. But it was a problem. Yeah. It was a problem.
So now you're looking at, now you're looking at doing what else and going how far with your next endeavor?
So now I'm working on something called Privilege. So you get the privilege of being the first person to hear about it. It's literally called Privilege. Funny story, it was originally called Providence Privilege. And there was another company, like, I do a lot of things. I'm a business and finance consultant. So one of the things I have to deal with sometimes are patents and trademarks and things of that nature, copyrights.
Okay.
And, in this case, it was something for myself with this particular brand, which is now called Privilege.
Okay.
Now, Providence was owned by this French wine company, and you'll understand why that has to do anything with Privilege in a little bit, because Privilege is actually a tequila brand that I'm creating.
Okay.
And
tequila, you hear that, ladies and gentlemen? Tequila. I love tequila, so.
Tequila is also my drink of choice.
All right. As we're drinking tequila.
Getting that taste of Privilege, which is...
You see that? You see what he's doing? I'm going to have to cut that up and send it to him so he can just know where he did it at, all right?
So getting that taste of Privilege
is
something that everybody wants.
Yeah, of course.
Everybody wants Privilege.
Of course.
Now, does everybody, sometimes find Privilege a little bit disgusting? Yeah.
Well.
Because unfortunately, a lot of the people that are privileged take advantage of it.
Yeah.
But what we seek to do with Privilege, the brand and the tequila, is make it something that is a beautiful thing and something that everybody can get a taste of, literally.
Okay. And telling you, he's dropping them.
And it's something that, would go ahead and more than anything help the artist. So what we're doing with it is, we're going to come up with like a generic version of the bottle. But every year, Providence is the background basically of the logo, so that you can see the skyline on the logo, and it's called just Privilege. So we kept the essence of Providence in it, and I did that for a reason, because Providence is considered the creative capital, as many of you know. Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, so
I wonder how many people out there knew that. Probably not a lot.
I hope they know. I mean, that's
I didn't know. I just learned something. I learned a lot of things.
Well, we have RISD here and stuff like that. So
that's
nonetheless,
true. That's a good point.
But the point is we have a lot of talent in this city that doesn't get to kind of portray their talents, and if they do, they don't make any money off of it. So what could I do to fix that? And what I thought of was, well, everybody drinks. Well, not everybody, but
a good portion.
And if they do, it's everybody at least will take at least one shot of tequila.
Yeah. Wow.
So it also ended up being like health benefits to tequila and this, that, and the third. Fun fact: in order to even have something called tequila, it does have to be made in Mexico. So our distillery is in Mexico. I'll be taking a trip there soon to get some taste testing.
That's a T-shirt. Fun fact: only tequila can only come from Mexico.
Yeah,
that's a T-shirt.
So, I mean, it's the things that people don't know. So, like, I like to go ahead and research things. That learning, dropping that L and earning. So, in order to make the tequila, it needs to be made in Mexico. Otherwise, it's just called agave liqueur.
Okay.
Similar to champagne.
Yeah.
Champagne can only come from Champagne, France.
Oh, it's France. Yeah.
That's so. Things like that. Cognac. Cognac can only be made in Cognac, France. Otherwise, it's just called like whiskey or whatever it is.
Yeah. Juice. No, I'm just kidding.
No. Or like what is it? Wine. Sparkling wine.
So, Privilege, right? Which is going to be a tequila, liqueur, right?
Yeah.
And when do you think, if you want to tell us, when do you think you'll have a sample? When does it start, right? Because I know, I should probably start with, is this an idea, or how far have you cemented it? How far down?
No, so it's already kind of in production.
Okay.
But the thing about it is that, we have to do taste testing. I have to make sure that I like it. I have to make sure that, with my distillery, when they're creating the product, okay, is it too sweet? Is it too strong? Is it? I have to sample these things and make sure that it's at a level that I want it to be, because obviously the name is cool.
Yeah.
But if it's not good, nobody's gonna drink it.
Yeah, nobody wants that. Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
so my goal is to make this tequila a premium tequila that people are gonna drink, and they're gonna be like, "Wow,
Yeah.
like this is all I'm drinking."
Yeah.
Like I'm if I go somewhere and they don't have it, I might as well not drink.
Well, I'm telling you right now, with a name like that, you got me. I'm like, oh, what do you want to drink, sir? Can you give me the privilege? Oh, no, it's top shelf, right? All the way at the top. The last shelf you have up there? Yeah, that one.
Yep, that one.
Yeah, that one. Thank you.
Yeah. So, I mean, one of the interesting things that, you know, that I did want to touch base on, again, you know, that I guess I didn't really emphasize on, was that the artists, I want them to create a bottle every year.
Okay.
And the bottle will be sold as art. And I know you'll probably be interested in this.
Oh.
Because it's something that will be associated with an NFT. So the way that it'll work is, you know, each bottle would have an NFT associated with it. And if the bottle is ever destroyed,
You always.
it would destroy that as well. But if the bottle was ever resold, then the artist would also get a share of the revenue.
Yeah, and there's a way also to prove that you're buying the authentic. So
Exactly.
for the people who might not understand NFTs real quick, it's just a digital it's just a digital deed. It just says you own this item, right? And so no one else can own it. They can try to copy it, but they can't because it's public. So, but no, that's like, I'm speechless.
Yeah, so
Like,
this will be a first of its kind. Nobody has done this in the alcohol game, at least.
Yeah, no, not at all.
So, you know.
Not at all. That's amazing, man. And your story is pretty dope. Not pretty dope. It's very dope. You know, it's interesting. I know you said something at the beginning where you were like, you know, I didn't really need for too much, right?
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot missing. There was a point in time where you did go through some hardships. But one of the things that I want people to get, if they didn't get it already from our talk, was the fact that at no point in time did he say he was focused on money. Like, at no point in time. Not one. Everything that, at least, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think everything you got was from literally just wanting to learn something or be better at something, or while being better at something, you literally fell into like a pit of money.
Yeah, I mean, the money came with the with the things I did.
With the heart. But that's the thing too, is that a lot of people look, well, yeah, he just fell into a pit of money. Yeah, but do you know the amount of hard work? Like, you have to search for the pit, buddy. Like, you know what I mean?
It's
like,
not that simple.
It's not exactly. It's an analogy, but at the same time, you still put in the work, you know, to get the things that you got. So, you know, it's amazing, man. I don't think enough people really understand how close all of us are and can be to information, like the wealth of information you possess, you know?
Yeah, and I mean that, and also making the right connections.
Yeah.
You know, your network is your net worth.
Yes, it is.
So going ahead and, like, you know, being on things like this, you know, being able to speak to your audience, being able to, you know, talk to your people, you know, obviously those are people that they may or may not know me, but going ahead and having that touch, that reach, is what makes me more successful.
Yeah. Well, listen, I wish you nothing but success. This is definitely not going to be the last time we do this, but for sure, you know, I'm pretty sure that people could learn a lot from you. And, you know, before we leave, you should definitely plug in all your social media and where can we find you, or, you know, any of those things, or
So, I mean, I'm pretty easy to find. Like, literally, my license plate is credit. Jess makes fun of me for that all the time.
Shout out, Jess.
And, you know, like, I go ahead and have my social media. All my social media is the same, Mr. _then on everything.
Google him.